You are so weird. If you're a Uranian person, if you have a lot of aspects to Uranus in your birth chart, you probably have heard this a lot because Uranus will make you stand out from the crowd. It will make you so special. And you will be perceived as kind of an odd one because you do stand out. This planet is so cool, and I really want to discuss it with a lot of respect because I am also a Uranian individual myself. So welcome, fellow weirdos. I'm waving my freak flag. I come in peace. Yeah, we're going to talk about this outer planet because I find that a lot of videos do not discuss it with the detail it deserves. Uranian buzzwords are rebellion, eccentric, oppositional. I really think Uranian people are whistleblowers. Truly. You heard it here first, okay? Also, anti-authority. It's true. We could be very anti-authority. It's bad. But we're going to talk about like the origin of these little quirks and go deeper into it to have a deeper understanding. Hi, my name is Mina. I'm your favorite Pisces astrologer, and I love doing really interesting astrology videos just like these. And I especially love compatibility. I know I haven't done one of those videos in a while, but please share with me in the comments which pair you would like discussed next. I'm always listening. And speaking of you, I really want to give a collective name to all the people who support my channel. I think I'm going to call you the Dreamers because I'm a Pisces and I'm obsessed with dreams. And yeah, it just fits, right? So welcome, Dreamers. And if you're a new dreamer, I'm so glad to have you here. Please, the best free way to support me is to subscribe to my channel, like this video, share it with a friend, watch it all the way through. The algorithm hates me right now, so I appreciate it. And most importantly, talk with me in the comments. I love hearing from you and interacting with you. If you don't know what to say because you're a little shy, drop a cute emoji. Just make the comment section cute. I can live with that. I could be content with that. So yeah, Uranian people, and I'm not going to say Uranus because I will straight up laugh. I want to make this video serious for the most part. Uranian people are outcasts a lot of the time. And let me interject, I will do the houses, so Uranus through all the houses eventually in this video. That's like the only thing I can straight up promise to you, okay? So yeah, Uranian people are often the outcasts and have something about them that is odd, and really identifying what it is that makes you different, that makes others see you differently, is pivotal. Sometimes Uranus cannot be personal in someone's chart. It can show up in environments. But when I think of someone not really understanding what makes them different with Uranus, I'm like, 7th house Uranus. Because not only is that the relationship house, that's your shadow side. So you cannot see what makes you kind of weird, kind of a different out there type of person. And through other people, especially romantic partners, you will understand this about yourself because they will straight up tell you like, hey, this is a little weird, but that's so cool, you're brilliant, like stuff like that. Anyway, it is possible to not be able to understand what makes you different depending on where your Uranus is and how strong it is. So if you're heavily Uranian, understanding this is important. And I think most Uranian people straight up know that they're different because they learn this very early on in life. Jungian psychology suggests that between the ages of 10 and 13, we kind of start to understand that we are separate. We are an individual. That's like the beginning, right, of the individuation process. And that process for Uranian folks is so, so important. It is like, if you're a super Uranian person, you're obsessed with the individual that you are. Like, for sure. You want to stand strong in your individuality. We do not like to conform, like, at all. 0%. So, yeah. Individuation is so important, and individuation really, really erupts per Jungian psychology when puberty hits. I think he calls that the adolescent crisis. So from then to, I think he says 35 to 40 is when you're just hyper focused on understanding your identity and who you are, especially for my Sun Uranus people, this is huge for you because that's a part of your ego. So yeah, this is a big thing for Uranian individuals. I will put the formal definition of individuation up here. Basically the process of becoming you. And I really do think Uranians are always ahead of the curve because their minds are in the future, but the future is not here yet. If you're Uranian, you're going to understand that sentence. So I feel like Uranians know even sooner than most people, young, like when they're super young, that they are different from other people, especially if it's in a public house or attached to your sun, something very visible. You're going to know, and you're going to want to deeply explore this. And I really do think that Uranians get caught up in being rebellious for a couple of reasons. I think that they get used to being the outsider, like a lone wolf, so to speak, kind of like Pluto people. But unlike Pluto people, Uranians are going to kick and scream. They're going to make their presence known. They are the opposition. And I think they just get comfortable in that role of being the opposition. And they have to really learn to tame the beast. Because unfortunately, in modern society, we must develop some type of respect for authority to kind of survive and not get thrown in jail. So yeah, Uranians developing a respect for authority and rules is like hard, but really important for their well-being. And I think that in order to really like respect the system as a Uranian person, you really have to learn to fall in love with what is different about you and to not resent it and to not fight because of it. Like use all that rebellious energy, that chaotic energy inside of you. Oh my God. Don't you think that the Uranus glyph looks like an explosion? I'm going to put it up here. Anyway, use all of that creative chaos inside of you to radically accept yourself, like what's different about you. And to learn that you got to kind of be a Leo. Like if you think of a secure, not like a toxic Leo, but a secure Leo is just very comfortable with who they are. They think they're glorious. They think they're the shit, basically. And it's visible, like that self-belief and actualization. Like, I think that Uranians can be kind of Leo-y because you kind of want to be that special little peacock. Like, you get used to being different to the point where you're just like, I demand to be the most interesting person in this room. I demand to be the most different one. Like, it could get a little Leo-y, toxic Leo-y. You know, it could be a little bit narcissistic even in that way. But, you know, as you get past your adolescent crisis and you learn to really be comfortable with yourself and accept what makes you different and not resent it, I think that as you get more secure with that as a Uranian person, you become more calm because your identity is more solid and less toxic. And people start to be intrigued by you and maybe want to connect. And I know, my fellow Uranians, you want to connect with other people, even if you'll never admit it. Uranians just do not want to conform in order to be a part of other people's lives. They just want to be appreciated for what makes them different. But they want people to be curious. They want people to ask questions. They just don't want to be forced to change or conform. So if you can meet those criterion, I'm laughing at myself. A Uranus person will love you so much. And you know what? I have to mention this book by Richard Eidemann, Through the Looking Glass. Amazing book, an astrology book. And he talks heavily about love, like the different types of love. He actually connects Uranus with agape love. And look that up real quick. Google it if you don't know, because, you know, a little while ago, I would almost consider agape love Neptunian, very ideal. However, he states that no, agape love is Uranian because when you love someone so purely and so deeply, the ultimate version of that is really giving them a permission slip to be themselves, to not force them to change for you because they're not doing that for you. Like, it's a really high way of loving someone, like the highest form a human consciousness can love another person. And I'm like, wow, that's really sweet. And how true is that? Like, Uranian love, I think, can be a very high form of love in that way. What do you think? Especially you people with Venus-Uranus conjunctions. Let me know what you think about that, because Venus is a planet of love. But yeah, I think it's just so interesting. I also want to bring up a really important point about finding your identity as a Uranian individual, is that Uranian themes are very relative to the environment and culture you were raised in. So, for example, if I tell you person A is an atheist, in our modern society, that's really not shocking, because Uranians love to shock people. No, that's pretty normal. However, if I tell you that person A is an atheist and they were raised and currently live in a very Christian town or culture, that would be kind of Uranian. That's like not normal. That's an outlier. That's a word I also associate with the Uranus. So yeah, I think that we have to understand that understanding Uranus is always going to be relative to the environment that the person's in. If I tell you that person B is white, well, that's not very interesting, right? That's pretty common, especially in America. But if I tell you person B is a white person who was adopted by African American parents, that's Uranian. And if I tell you person C was a trust fund baby who was supposed to take over daddy's company, well, that's pretty normal. What if I tell you that, psych, he doesn't want to do it. He's going to go his own way and build his own wealth. That's kind of Uranian. So there's so many ways Uranus, in terms of figuring it out in yourself, it can play out. But never forget the environment. You have to measure it against that to truly understand it. And I want to say that if you're feeling lonely and isolated because you are like a big Uranus person and you haven't like found peace within yourself yet, I want to let you know that it gets better, because as human consciousness evolves, as society modernizes and changes, Uranian issues will get better, because remember that Uranians are living in the future, in the past. So by the time the future gets here, our lives get easier. For example, I was a 90s kid, I was raised in the 90s, and my family did not have a lot of money, but my mom's boyfriend built me a computer, on the low. So I was able to get online. And that was really abnormal, especially in terms of the school I went to. You were rich if you were able to get online. But here I was getting online and stuff, and no, I did not have AOL because that was way too damn expensive. I think I had FreeEye or something like that. But anyway, fast forward into 2025, that's totally normal, being online all the time and connecting with people online, dating online. All of that is totally normal. So it gets easier. It gets easier. I promise. I hope that gave you some relief. Another example of being Uranian is being a childless woman. Yes, even in 2025, that is considered strange, sadly. So yeah, I just want to throw that out there for all my fellow childless ladies out there. Hugs. So yeah, Uranian things get better as the future comes. I promise. So yeah, now we're going to take a look at Uranus through the houses. I'm going to try to keep it brief. Uranus in the first house, what makes you odd has something to do with your appearance. And now I want to say this has a big range of possibilities. And what I think of is that famous picture of the Afghan girl that was on National Geographic. Her eyes are so rare in color and so striking. And I really always think of her when I think of Uranus in the first house, or if your chart ruler is connected to Uranus, something striking is visually apparent in you. Okay. This could also be like your family's tall, but you're short, or your family is short and you're the only tall one. Or I could even say you have a really prominent birthmark. And I do want to be fair. There could be like what modern society and conventional attractiveness, all those stupid roles consider a deformity that one has had to deal with. And I want to say that even with that, I think there's power in that. There might be pain that comes with that, but I think becoming confident about that part of yourself that you cannot control helps other people be more accepted, which can bring, again, connection to you, which you definitely want. You want your tribe, right? And it can also just be like the first house is where a rising sign is. So your mindset can be just like kind of out there, kind of odd, but brilliant. Like someone who's having brilliant ideas and ways of thinking, ways of seeing the world in a way that no one else does. This can make like a very anxious person because, again, Uranian people just, it's like a lot of energy, especially in your first house. You could be like someone who shakes or just has to be moving, has to be doing something. All that nervous energy can be very visible in you. Yeah, you could be a little ball of chaos, but I'm sure people love you. Uranus in the second house. So this is more so describing an environment, your physical environment. There can be something, especially money, like relationship with money. You can have like an odd relationship with money. You can kind of have a love of strange objects. And if we connect the second house to the body, which is kind of similar to the first house, this could be, I would say, odd physical quirks. Maybe you like weird smells. There could be something strange in that area. Maybe you like weird foods. The second house is kind of connected to food because it's our physical reality. Yeah, this is kind of an interesting one. And I think as you grow up, you could be really drawn to strange ways of making money or very volatile ways of making money. Like I kind of think of a car salesman. You might make a lot of money one month, but not so much the next month. So you're constantly gaining and losing money, but you might like the rush. Like as a Uranus person, you might kind of get off on that. Third house, Uranus in the third house, brilliant. A naturally brilliant person because the third house is an air house. So Uranus will always shine in the air houses. There could have been a strange way that you spoke or learned things. There could also be something strange about the community or neighborhood you were born in, or something about your siblings that was a little odd. But yes, so brilliant, like ahead of the game, like the ultimate smarty pants is Uranus in the third house. You could also, I think I said this already, deal with a speech impediment or something because your thoughts are racing and they just can't get out of your mouth quick enough. But, with time that will get better. If you just like slow yourself down a little bit, you can be more intentional about what you're trying to say. And of course, I say that very humbly. I know that there's professionals that help people with speech impediments. You're not alone, and I believe in you if you want to start on that journey. But yes, so smart. So smart. And again, the way you learn things is kind of out there. It might even be hard to explain like how you learn something to another person who doesn't have this placement. Definitely. Uranus in the fourth house. This one kind of makes me sad. I think this is the most somber Uranus placement. Well, it's up there. It can mean a lot of instability. That is kind of a sad Uranian word, is instability. It could be some instability at home or a very odd, almost uncomfortably odd home situation. Now, this could be positive. Maybe it was like a fun, no rules, unconventional home. Maybe you were raised in a cult. I don't know. This could be a possibility, but something was just very different at home. The way your home was run, like the way all that was. Your childhood could just be kind of odd. So yeah, I think, yeah, it can be sad, but maybe it was positive in some way. Let me know in the comments. I really have a big heart for Uranus and the fourth house people. I think it makes you really, I would say, strong because of what you had to endure when you were younger. Uranus in the fifth house. I think this one is like extra dramatic, extra Leo-y. Do you think us Uranus people are dramatic? I've seen a couple of astrologers refer to Uranian individuals as dramatic in their videos. Let me know what you think. I kind of think it's true, honestly, because we just get bored. And I think when we get bored, we kind of self-destruct. Anyway, Uranus in the fifth house. Uranus in the fifth house, I think, is like creative genius. And I think this is someone just very comfortable with expressing themselves in intentionally weird ways. I almost view this as like a prankster Uranus. Like maybe you like to play pranks on people and you scare them and you think it's really funny. You can have really odd hobbies. I think these people, I don't think I've met one yet, but I think they would just be so interesting. Honestly, I really love this Uranus placement. Yeah, and you could be kind of like someone who likes to give their love interest a lot of surprises. Uranus in the sixth house. Sixth house is connected to work and just daily routine. It's also a mercurial house, so I want to say that these people can be very brilliant as well, just like Uranus in the third house. I want to say that Uranus in the sixth house can deal with odd or strange health issues a lot of the time. Big hugs to you. That must be so difficult. Another thing that could, yeah, like you can have like a rare condition. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just reporting the astrology and what I've seen in clients. You can also have odd work situations, maybe very temporary work situations. You could also have just a lot of brilliant ideas about how to make money. And what the funniest thing I've noticed about these people is that they're so anti-routine. They get really upset if someone tries to force them to be on a routine. If a Uranus person in the sixth house is on a routine, it's because they want to be. Like, it's really hard for them to be told to do that. So yeah, they could be kind of all over the place, like washing dishes at 1 a.m., making breakfast at 4 a.m. I'm just joking, but this is the caricature I'm trying to paint that I actually do see. Very anti-routine. But yeah, very brilliant. Because again, this is a mercurial house. We got to give them credit. Very smart people. Uranus in the seventh house. This is a hard one because you might not see what makes you a little out there, a little odd. So partners or friends, close friends, have to show you that side of yourself. Or maybe you just need a permission slip to let your Uranus energy just fly and be different proudly. And that's okay to need other people to do that. Like, there's no shame in that at all. And of course, this can also be kind of a poly-esque relationship placement. Like, you could be drawn to unconventional relationships, maybe even age gap stuff. Again, make sure you're following the rules of the law and morality, please. Yeah, I also want to say Uranus in the eighth house. Let's get on with that. Uranus in the eighth house. You know, the eighth house is the house of shared resources and sex. I mean, it's the house associated with Scorpio, right? And secrets. So you can kind of have some weird secrets maybe hiding in your closet, your eighth house closet. You can also have odd experiences with shared resources. Maybe you inherited a shared resource that's really weird. Maybe it was like a car with pink flamingos painted all over it. I don't know. Something like that. There could also be instability with shared resources. Like, there's a lot of them one minute and then there's not so much the next minute. So it could be really hard with Uranus in the eighth house probably to trust someone else financially because of that instability. And maybe you can have some kind of interesting kinks sexually. But anyway, Uranus in the ninth house. I think that's someone who has a very odd relationship with religion, can be very rebellious when it comes to religion, can be very rebellious in terms of learning as well. Maybe Uranus in the third house is the same, like smarty pants energy, right? I also kind of have a unique theory about Uranus in the ninth house. I kind of think that it can make someone very culturally ambiguous or racially ambiguous, like no one knows where you're from type of thing. So yeah, some out there ideals about religion. Like maybe you're kind of that example. Maybe you're a witch and you're married to a Catholic. I don't know. Just something like that. Something odd, right? Or maybe you do not like organized religion, but you have a lot of respect for Jesus. Like something like that is very Uranus in the ninth house. Yeah. And you could also clash with teachers because of that anti-authority energy. Because the ninth house is like the house of the teacher, right? Uranus in the 10th house. I really love people with Uranus in the 10th house because I think that they really get off on convincing other people to like their weird stuff. Like, because they want to start a trend. They really do want their weird likes and dislikes to catch fire with the general public. It's a very flashy Uranus. Like, these people are not ashamed of the strange things they like, and they really want to convince other people to like them as well. So I really love that placement. And it can also just be someone who's really brilliant in terms of career path, like someone who's going to do something out of the box, unexpected, someone who's going to make their own place in this world. So let's just say you want to play volleyball, but you're really short. Like, you're going to be that real life tiny giant and make that dream happen. So yeah, Uranus in the 11th house. This is a great, probably one of the most brilliant Uranus placements is Uranus in the 11th house. The 11th house is tied to friendship, and it's also the house of Aquarius. So this can just be like, you're just really attracted. You really want the weird friends. Like, you want to befriend weirdos because it makes you feel more comfortable. And I think this also means like you like sharing your ideas with your friends. Like, you want to bounce your brilliant ideas off of them and maybe work as a team potentially to make those ideas happen. And I think this is someone who is just very naturally connected to collective consciousness. Like, you kind of understand what the people want and what they're going to want, like, in the future. And therefore, I think that you can really, and maybe even more than Uranus in the 10th house, don't want to hurt my popular Uranus in the 10th house feelings. You guys are still cool, but I think Uranus in the 11th, I think that you can really get a group going. I think this is a very great placement for a politician because you can really rally the people because you understand what they're thinking and you understand what they should be thinking. I think if you're a Uranus person, you understand that without me having to explain it. Mind control because you can predict where it's going. I love this placement. Yeah, Uranus in the 12th house. This is, the 12th house is the most mysterious house, the most unconscious house. So really hard to understand and see in ourselves. And what I see with Uranus in the 12th house is that what is special and unique and odd about you is not understood by you. Like, you don't get it. Maybe much like Uranus in the 7th house. However, at least Uranus in the 7th house can have a partner or close friend illuminate it. But with the 12th house, it's like totally lost at sea. And it's really hard. Like, maybe other people will tell you, hey, you're kind of weird, or you're kind of out there, or hey, you're kind of like an outside of the box thinker. You're kind of brilliant. Even if they say you're brilliant, it could just be like, what are you talking about? You don't see that brilliant, chaotic Uranus energy in yourself. And I think the only way to get there is through spirituality, through meditation, maybe even through prayer, or maybe through astrology, right? To really dig out that Uranian nature that you have. And I do think these people are highly, highly psychic, and maybe even have dreams about the future. I've actually talked to many people with Uranus in the 12th house who have told me that they have future dreams, like the dreams that they have come true sometimes. Does that resonate with you? I really want to hear from Uranus in the 12th house people, probably the most, I have to be honest. All right, so to close this video out, I will disclose a little bit about myself, which is so not comfortable because I'm a Pisces. I want to be a mystery, but I'll step outside of my comfort zone to connect. I really think the most Uranian thing that I've learned, like that was really prominent in my early life, was that I was the only mixed kid at school. And I changed schools a lot, and it was always the case. Believe it or not, because I know I'm pale as hell right now, but my dad was very dark skinned. He's in heaven now, so that's why I say was. And I had brown skin. Like my earliest memories of myself, I had brown skin. So when you're a kid, you don't think, oh, you're brown because you have melanin in your skin and you can tan. You just think that's who you are. And for many years, I was the brown girl with black hair. Or as my friends, mean moms would call me, the fat dark one. Ugh, they suck. But anyway, when I was in high school, I lost all my melanin and I had to like relearn who I was in that way. I'm like, wow, I'm different now. But anyway, I will not disclose like my racial makeup, not because I'm not proud, because I am. I just don't want myself to like overshadow the message I'm trying to say. And I want everyone, if you're a mixed kid watching this, I see you, I appreciate you, and you exist. You're your own identity. And I think that being mixed is like very Uranian, because Uranian people can be very rejected, again, because they're so different. So society just pushes them away because they're not conforming. And when you're mixed, you're told by both sides of you that you don't belong. Oh, you're not this, you're not this. So eventually you're like, you know what? You're right. I'm not that. I'm my own thing. And that's me being comfortable with myself. I am my own thing, and I'm very content with it. So yeah, that's my little Uranus story. And yes, the future is here. The world is more integrated. And yes, my life is easier because I don't feel so alone. You know, when I was a kid, I could not see myself in any of the faces around me. I always felt so different. But of course, nowadays, I'm so normal because the world's more connected to the internet. We get to see all different types of people from all different types of racial backgrounds and cultures. And I'm so grateful for that. If you want to share your Uranus story, please do. Let me know if you like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.